Hi, welcome to our YouTube channel. This is Dami and Ify again this week, bringing you some real talk on marriage. And this week, we're sharing some red flags in relationship before you say I do. Some red flags that you should really work through, talk through, pray through, get counseling through before you say I do. If you followed us for a while, you'll know that as a young couple ourselves, our heart is to just live out this marriage thing, honoring God, and hopefully encourage other people to do the same.
Yeah.
And by sharing our experiences, kind of sharing our life a little bit, and just sharing the things that we've learned along the way with other young couples. And today, really, we're going to start with talking about our own red flags. Because really, what will be the point of telling other people red flags they should watch out for if we can be honest and discuss actually we also had red flags that we had to work through before we got married, and that's okay. We're not doing this video to say, oh, these are red flags, wrong. We're saying these are red flags, beware. Get counseling, pray through it, get help through it. If you think that's the person that the Lord has chosen for you and there are some red flags, some of which if we mention today, just get help. And if you think there are things that just you cannot get help for, get out. So you go first. Our red flags whilst we were dating.
I would say overly independent. Oh yes, that was a red flag, you know.
Well, what can I say?
Yeah, that was a
being overly independent.
Yeah.
Well, you were overly independent.
I say you. You know, there are times when you see a lady when she's overly independent in a way, the way she delivers the message to you, and it will be like, okay, what am I there for really?
Yeah.
So what do you need me for in this relationship?
Yeah.
And that was a big red flag to me. Yeah. So I could understand it. So that time I dated you for quite a while, so knowing you, knowing the background, everything, so I understood the reason
where it was
why.
coming from.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but didn't mean it wasn't still a red flag.
Oh no, I think some of these red flags will be for individuals in the context of their story, in the context of their experience. So yes, your red flag that you had about me was that I was overly independent, and I totally own that. Anyone who knows me know that I'm a work in progress in that area. Praise God for growth. I have grown a great deal in that area. Thanks, baby. I've grown a great deal in that area, but it's a struggle for me. Again, because of my background, because of my story. Some people are exposed to certain traumas that make them kind of cower and go into themselves. When I'm exposed to trauma, I'm like, I fight. I don't fly. So because of my story, I developed this kind of protective mechanism, which is I'm going to be the best I can be. I'm going to be able to be as good as any man can be. Which of course, if you take that into a relationship and into a marriage, albeit it's good for you to be the best you can be. I mean, check out my last video that I did on how we can still be absolutely feisty and love feistily. Fiercely. I don't know, fiercely. We can be feisty and fierce. How we can be fierce but still honor our men and build our men. And mine was that I was overly independent and it was borderline kind of breaking down rather than building. It was that, what do you think you can do, please, type attitude. And it's not humble, it's arrogant. And I'm sorry.
You don't need to say I'm sorry. I spoke to God already.
We dealt with it. Yes, I'm not perfect yet, but oh dang, I am better. So let me go. Is it my turn?
Yes, your turn.
It's my turn.
Yeah.
Ooh, my turn. Right. So for me, the one big red flag I had was the Mandarin Beer. So for me, it wasn't alcohol in general, because I myself, I will once in a while have a glass of wine. Might be once or twice a year, But I have nothing against having a glass of wine once in a while. If you're celebrating something, a glass of champagne, I have no problem with it. But it was beer. It was the fact that you enjoyed beer. And again, it comes back from backgrounds and baggages where I experienced trauma as a result of alcohol being misused. Alcohol in general, but beer in particular, the smell of it just triggers all sort of negativity in me. Makes me think you're a bad person, you're gonna be violent, you're gonna be mean, you're just gonna be ungodly. So that was a trigger for me. And he didn't get it because it's like, girl, you would have a glass of wine, but you have a problem when you're drinking my beer. But we worked through that. Praise God, he's giving up beer, so I do not have to suffer that smell and the triggers. But it's been upgraded to wine once in a while. But again, these kind of red flags, because for me, him drinking beer and enjoying it, and at the beginning insisting the whole what can a big deal, like what's the big deal, was like, oh, it's that important, you won't give it up type thing, was a red flag. But once again, we're not saying these red flags are things that you spot and you run. You spot and you pray. You spot and you have conversation.
Yeah, you work on it.
You spot and you work on it. So now we've talked about ours, just to kind of give you an insight about kind of how we dealt with our red flags, because we're here, so we clearly didn't run. So you go first then. General red flags. I think we have 10 or 12?
12.
We have 12.
Yeah, so we have to...
You go first then.
Okay, I would say the first one will be being abusive, both verbally and physically. Yeah.
I think if a guy is ever abusive, in any way, I mean, verbally could even be that he's just poking fun at you consistently, and you're just like, I don't like that, and he keeps doing it. That might be an indicator that if you're dating and he's poking fun at you and being sarcastic at you, and he's just making jokes at your expense, and you're saying I don't like this, and he's just not yielding, he's not stopping, that could be an indicator that later on that is going to graduate into proper verbal abuse. So be aware of any woman or any man who is both verbally and physical abuse is just a no. I think for me, if it's physically abused or if she's physically abusive, get out. I don't even know if that's one that you I don't know. I really don't know that I can sit here and say if someone's physically abusive to you, you should work through that. I get somewhere safe. Do not stay in a physically abusive relationship. I cannot say that's one thing you can. I don't. What do you think?
No, I don't think so, because you just it's not a marriage that's going to work out. If you get into marriage, it's not going to work out, because he's going to continue, and he would I think he will just make the it's more by a man that is more physically abusive than
women are also physically abusive. I mean, I've seen and I've heard women that will get in your face and will provoke you and will be ready to fight you. So, and that is kind of being aggressive that can then lead into a physical kind of altercation. And again, my personal experience, lived experience, is that people who are physically abusive, they lack so much self-control that I don't know. Let them go work on themselves first and let the Lord heal their past or their traumas or their baggage before you can even go back and try. Even if that's something you should try, they have got to get help. They have got to get healing. They have got to work through that. You cannot ignore never someone who's physically abusive. I don't think that's something that can be ignored at all. Please do not ignore that. For me, it's gonna be being unequally yoked. I think it's 2 Corinthians 6:14 that says that we should not be unequally yoked with unbelievers. And I'm going to generalize this a little bit. And it's going to be, I'll start from unequally yoked in the sense of believers and unbelievers.
Yeah.
If you're a believing girl, believing boy, finding yourself in a situation where you're falling in love with someone who absolutely has no understanding of God, by all means, share the gospel with them. And by all means, try to bring them and show them through the way you're living your life. Try to show them the love of God through how you live your life. It can't be what you say, it's got to be what you do, how you represent Christ, by all means.
Yeah.
But as the relationship progresses, if this person has absolutely no interest in falling in love with God,
Yeah.
I cannot say go get married, they will change, because there is no guarantee that they will change. And again, my parents, we had one that's a Christian and one that was a Muslim, with the idea that God will save his life, God will save his life. But unfortunately, it's a hard life. It's a hard challenge. It meant for some really awful experiences for the children. It's hard. So the Bible is clear about this. Do not be unequally yoked. And then I'm gonna go to unequal yoke as it pertains to even belief systems and denominations. So we've seen couples currently struggling where they've got this kind of mismatch of, I don't know, Catholic versus Pentecostal, or 7 Days Adventist versus Catholic, or just these matches. And because you haven't discussed it, you haven't dealt with this kind of red flags before you got married, it then became a point of contention in marriage. It became a point of disunity, and it became a problem, some of which are currently still ongoing.
Yeah.
And the children again are in this, not sure if they're going to church with mom on Saturday or dad on Sunday, or dad on Saturday, mom on Sunday. And it's just difficult. So we would say don't ignore this. Again, that's something to walk through, pray through, and just talk through.
The next one I would say is watching porn.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah. So it is something I think it needs to be worked on before you get married, because if you get married, it's in my own opinion, I would think that it's something that the devil would use to destroy the marriage. It'd just be a matter of time.
Totally, babe. I think the issue of porn is a video on its own, because unfortunately, a lot of young people struggle with this awful, easy accessibility to just this awful stuff. And then they become addicted to it, and then it's downhill from there. So yes, totally. Please do not ignore if you ever see any of your spouse, even your friends, exposing themselves to porn. They gotta get help. You cannot marry a person who watches porn. Don't do it. You've gotta get them help first and help them work through that. For me, it will be someone who's extremely jealous and extremely possessive. I think that is a big no. Because the thing is, we're supposed to love God first, and then yes, love a spouse, and then our families, our children, and all of that. But someone who's extremely jealous will at some point probably have a problem with your relationship with God. That's a deal breaker. They will have a problem with the way you relate to your friends and your family. And I think extreme jealousy speaks for itself. If someone is extremely jealous and extremely possessive, I can't live my life without you type thing, they shouldn't be able to live without God, because life happens. So you've got to watch out for that. Totally, you've got to watch out for that.
I would say another one is manipulative. So I would say once the guy or the lady keeps telling you to do things that you don't really want to do, you know that it's wrong, and pushes you to really do it, I think it's a red flag, and you're not really comfortable about that. I think that's a red flag.
Someone who's, Jesus is calling, someone who's consistently trying to make you do what you don't want to do, and just using cunning ways to get their way, then that's totally a no-no. I think someone who lacks personal accountability, someone who everything that happens in their life is everyone else's fault but themselves. That's a problem, because then they're not able to reflect and kind of see the ways that they might be wrong, the ways they can grow.
Yeah.
So if a person lacks personal accountability, it's a red flag. They gotta work through that. Don't ignore it. Talk through it. Pray through it. They need counseling.
Yeah. I would say
we're rushing through it now.
Another one would say bad company.
Yeah,
so,
bad company corrupts good manners.
Oh. Yeah, so if you're dating and you see the kind of friends that they're keeping, even when you're married, really. So the kind of friends that person you're dating or your spouse is keeping, it's something. It's a red flag.
I think there's an adage that says, "Show me your friend and I'll know who you are." Right?
Oh yes, yep.
Is it a Yoruba adage or general adage?
No, it's a general one to me.
Yeah. Show me your friend and I know who you are. It is likely that whilst you're dating, that spouse is probably just pretending to be someone else and presenting their best self for you. But if the whole group of friends, you don't like them, you just think, I just don't like this group of friends.
Yeah.
It is very likely that your spouse is like that too. The person you've chosen to be your boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, or whatever, is probably gonna be like that group of people.
Yeah.
So yeah, totally. That is Jesus is calling. Someone really needs me bad. Someone who lies for me will be someone who lies about just the little and the big things.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, if you lie about the little things, you're going to lie about the big things.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yes. Yeah.
So if that person lies, babe, where are you? I'm at home. Only to find out that they are in, I don't know, the city center or something. Yeah. You've got to totally watch out for that.
Yeah. For me, I would say not honoring your parents or anyone. So lack of honor. Yeah. So for example, you honor your parents. For example, you go to the restaurant and no respect for the staff there. So because you're paying for something, you think, oh, you can talk to him anyhow. So if you see that kind of thing, you know that the probability of him going to disrespect you.
You're picking on the man or her.
Or her, going to disrespect you. Is going to be there. So
I think lack of honoring. Yes, if you don't honor your parents, that's a red flag for me. Because honor your mother and your father so that your days may be long. You've got to honor your parents, and in general, if we generalize that, like you said, if you don't honor and respect people, for me that's just a bad person. No, that's an awful trait. You've got to work on that. For me, it would be if you're fearful of them. If there's someone you're fearful of, really, you should be in a relationship where you feel fear. You're kind of not sure, can you say this, can you not say this? You're kind of modifying how you present stuff. Yes, you should speak in love every time you speak to each other, but if you're fearful that if I bring up this topic, they're gonna blow up or they're going to just, you should never be fearful of a person you're dating. So if you're fearful of the person you're dating, red flag, get help or get out.
And the big one for me, finance.
Well, they say, I think, that many marriages end up in divorce. One of the reasons is finance. So if you have a spouse that's spending more than they earn, or you have a boyfriend, I keep saying spouse. If you have a boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, whatever you want to call it, that is spending more than they earn. And they're just about the material stuff, the latest this and that. Although they can't afford it, they're just not good stewards. You've got to deal with that. You cannot ignore that, because really, if you go get married, they will spend your mortgage money on Gucci. It's true. I mean, they will spend your mortgage money on Prada and God knows what else. I'm not up to date with brands. You can tell I am not a brand person. I am as frugal as the
D&G.
It's like just finance is also a big thing. So I think we've covered off 12. This is not like all complete lists. These are just the ones that we thought are what I highlighted in this video. Now, if there are more that you've thought of, I am pretty sure there are many more red flags out there that we haven't included. Can you please comment? I am so interested in seeing your kind of red flags, what would be red flags to you, can you please put comments in the sections, in the comment section below. Let's share this, and we will probably do another video if you will comment and share more red flags, so that we can share this with people if we get more, just to get it out there, to say these are the things you should not ignore, you should not overlook, you should deal with, talk through, get counseling through, pray through, or get out. So please share in the comments below any ones that you think we really should have discussed and mentioned that we didn't mention. And please share this video and like it and subscribe. If you haven't already subscribed. Our heart, like we said earlier, is to build God honoring marriages. It's been Real Talk with Dami and Ify. Remain blessed.